spot. So the valet is supposedly free for people who have offices there. And then the guys start begging anyway because they go, this is my only source of income. We feel badly for them. So, that's ugly.
Yeah. You should try it. It's pretty good. It's more.
They're opening another one.
I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Costa Mesa Sanitary District to order. And the first thing we'll do is I'll lead this group in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the greatest nation in the world. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Schaefer.
If you all bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father, guide tonight's meeting. Ensure that the decisions made are fair and just for all. We ask your blessings, Father, on all who are sick or infirm, and we ask this in your name. Amen.
Okay, roll call, please.
Director Michael Schaefer.
Here.
Director Robert Uten.
Here.
Director Arlene Schaefer. Here. Director Arthur Perry.
Here.
President James Ferryman.
Present.
Thank you.
We don't have any ceremonial matters at this meeting. Any announcement of late communications?
No, Mr. President.
And it brings us to public comments. I do have a card here from Jim Mosier, who'd like to speak to this group on items 16 and 17, but we'll wait until we get to that. Unless you have something you'd like to say now, is there anybody present that would like to address the board?
Yeah, Mr. President, the public comment section is for anything that's not on the agenda they want to discuss.
Exactly, yes. You all heard that. Okay, seeing nobody come forward, we'll go on to the consent calendar. Would any of the directors like to pull any item off this consent calendar for discussion?
Move to approval. Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We will not have a public hearing, and it brings us to the general manager, district clerk reports.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 13 is a request from a resident to appeal the sewer non-assistance program guidelines, but she said she was supposed to be here today, and I don't see her today. There's a couple of you can postpone this and discuss it later in the day if you want, later in the evening. Maybe she'll show up, or we can talk about it now. It's really up to the board. She said she was going to be. She called and confirmed she was going to be here.
Well, why don't we just table it for now and we'll come back to it when she shows up.
Okay.
Okay, the next item.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Number 14, and that's tonight. I'll be presenting to you.
Is there an item 2 on 13, or is that?
That's part of
that's
item
part
number 13.
okay.
Yeah, so we're on item number 14. I got you. Post spending plan, and so what I'll be presenting to you tonight is proposed spending plan for the next 2 fiscal years. This is the first time we've done we'll be doing a 2-year budget. And I do apologize. I didn't. I mean, Director Uden mentioned this. I did not include like an overall summary in your packet, and that was because my intention tonight is to go dive in a little bit deeper on the departments in the budget. A summary like this will be presented when we present the preliminary budget in May. So that's clarify that.
Okay.
So I'll get started. And first off, I just wanted to go the process on how we're here today. As you know, back on March 12th, we had our strategic plan. We reviewed the progress and achievements being made. So now we're here at March 28th talking about the spending plan. And then we also have another strategic plan coming up on April 3rd, so there might be some more different goals that the board might want us to implement, changing the plan, so that might address or change the proposed spending plan. And then in April 18th, we'll talk about revenues, the rates and other revenues in the budget. And then in May 30th, we'll bring all that together and we'll give you the preliminary budget, again seeking comments from the board. And then from those comments, from the May meeting and the previous meetings, we'll present you the final budget for your adoption consideration.
May what?
May 30th, the preliminary budget is right on the screen here, May 30th, and then Director, it's right here on the screen.
Okay.
And then June 27th is for the final adoption.
Is that May 30th a regular board meeting date?
I believe it is, yes.
No,
No, it's not?
it's the 5th Thursday.
Because I'm going to be out of town, I think, on that
the
day.
board meeting's the 23rd of May.
That's
Okay.
correct.
I mean,
Mike.
so are we gonna do that on the 23rd or still keep it on the 30th?
It'll be on the 23rd, and that's my mistake. It will be on the regular board meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay. So here's the proposed spending plan for the next 2 fiscal years, and as you see in the next fiscal year, it's about $10.8 million, and then 14-15 we're proposing a $11 million budget, and as you see the personnel M&O, the goal has always been to keep it around the 80%, 20%, personnel, 80% M&O, and these next two proposed spending plans will be achieving that objective. The big changes you'll see in the proposed budget is the personnel cost, and just get my notes here. And the big change you'll see from this current fiscal year to the proposed next fiscal year is over $300,000, and there's several reasons for that. The first reason is that staff is proposing a reorganization in the finance department. Right now, as you see, this is the current structure of the finance department. And under the accounting manager position, that position requires accounting background, but however, I really envision this position as more of a manager of the department. Furthermore, during our last interview process for the accounting manager position, we learned that the applicants, while they had some strong accounting skills and background, they really lacked the experience of managing a finance department and supervising people. So from that experience, we went and surveyed other surrounding special districts. We also surveyed CSDA, and we found that a finance manager would be better suited for this department in this organization. And what we're looking for in a finance manager is not specifically accounting background, but has more education and experience in the finance industry, in the finance department. So this position will be responsible for like financial planning, budget preparation, accounting data processing, revenue administration, purchasing, asset management, really managing the overall finance department. It's not really doing the nitty-gritty of an accountant. We're also proposing, because this position is more serving like a department head, my recommendation is that the salary range be adjusted to increase about $7,500 a year, so that's equivalent to administrative services manager. Now I do believe we still need an accountant position, and that's where the accounting series comes in. And what I'm proposing is that we're not going to have to be accountants. What this is an opportunity is really a development program for our accounting specialist, and it's an opportunity for her to grow within the profession and within the finance industry. And how it would work is that right now she's an accounting specialist. The proposal is that she would be promoted to the associate accountant, and she would still be performing the day-to-day accounting duties, such as monthly bank reconciliations, journal entries, annual closing of financial statements, overseeing payrolls, really that day-to-day accounting site duties. So we will still have that type of accountant. That change from an accounting specialist to an associate accountant is the difference of $4,200 a year. So she would be promoted to associate accountant, and then over time, over years, as she expands her experience, like maybe she wants to get a master's in finance, or she wants to become a CPA, and she expands on her skills in the finance industry, like she'll be responsible for preparing CAPers, or she'll be responsible for budget development. Then she can get promoted to accountant into the senior accountant position. Now, the senior accountant position is not in this budget, but if you would approve the budget in June, then so the reorganization will go in effect, and the senior accountant and accountant, well, the accountant we already have that position, but the senior accountant and associate accountant will be new classifications in our job titles and job descriptions. The account clerk, that is really kind of like more of a placeholder, because if it's approved by the board, what we envision is that the finance manager and the associate accountant would be in that role for a year, and then within that year we will be assessing how the duties are impacting them. If we find that the associate accountant needs additional help, then the account clerk would come in as a part-timer and help with payrolls and accounts payables. And that person would be a 20-hour-a-week position, and it would fill in the 14-15 budget year if needed. So it's more like a placeholder. We don't really need that position now, but just in case we find out the workload is too much for the associate accountant and the finance manager.
Can we ask questions now, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, if it's okay, I'll go through the personnel stuff, and then we can ask questions, and then I'll go and email if that's okay with the board.
Sure.
Okay. The maintenance assistant's position, recommending promoting, changing that from a part-time to a full-time position. And the reason why, right now, that position is a maintenance worker that maintains our facilities here at HQ and over at the yard, works 20 hours a week. As you know, our sewer crew is out there every day now cleaning half the lines right now, about 300,000 feet of lines. I have one person who maintains the pump stations. Sometimes he requires assistance, which means I have to pull the sewer guys off, clean the lines, and help my pump station worker, or the supervisor has to go help him, and therefore he can't do his supervisory work. Other times, as you know, it can be dangerous. I mean, he is working with high voltage areas, open wet wells. So if he ever got hurt and he's by himself, we won't know about it. So the idea is for a maintenance assistant is to still work 20 hours in building maintenance, but then the other 20 hours he would provide assisting the sewer crews, the maintenance crews. He would go out and assist out with the pump stations. If I have one guy working on a Friday, he can also assist him on a Friday to ensure that our work duties do not fall behind. So that's how we manage this position. And the additional salary would be $42,000. I'm sorry, the additional salary and benefits, including benefits, would be $42,000 a year to make that position a full-time position. Now, the maintenance assistant position and the accounting series does comply with our strategic plan element 6.0, promoting professional development and growth within the organization. So I just want to bring that to your attention. It does comply with our strategic plan. Other changes in our personnel is that all the employees, with the exception of the general manager and myself, will be receiving a 2% COLA, cost of living adjustment. And then we'll also be implementing the Pension Reform Act that was approved by the legislature and Governor Brown, where new employees would be on the 2% at 62 if they come from a private sector. So for example, the finance manager position, and that person we'd select to hire from a private sector, he or she would go on that new Pension Reform Act at 2% at 62, and he or she would be paying their full 6% of that salary. If the person is already working in the public sector, then you go on our second tier pension program, which is 2% at 60, and they'd be paying the 7%. And then real quickly, the adjustment or the salaries for 14-15, it's a difference of $140,000 from 14-15 to 13-14, and again that's primarily because of a COLA increase again for 14-15. We're also, not only us, but all local governments are going to see their rate increases in the PERS, in their CalPERS. The rate increases are going to go up, so we're reflecting that in 14-15 as well. And as I mentioned before, we also have the part-time accountant in the 14-15. But if you compare the 14-15 to 12-13, our current fiscal year, it's $442,000 increase in personnel costs. Happy to answer any question on personnel.
President Chairman, so you're proposing to have an administrator in the finance department, and then 2 people working for them?
Possibly, basically, possibly 1.5 persons, because it'll be the associate accountant and the account clerk, which is the part-time position.
And that's to be determined?
Yes, the account clerk is, yes, correct.
So you'll hire the person to take Teresa's place with a little different orientation.
Correct.
I had talked to Scott earlier about making sure that that person had a good accounting background that you're going to hire, even though you don't mention that in the job description.
Yeah, and again, it's up to the board, but what we envision is that the person would have some accounting background, but it's not critical for that role, because what I'm envisioning for this position is more of a finance generalist, a generalist that has experience and background in the finance, in the public finance, or in the private. It has experience in the private finance, that's fine too, but really a generalist in the finance industry. The accountant would come from the associate accountant. That's where we'll have our day-to-day accounting duties. Will come from the associate accountant, the accounting series. What I'm really looking at is a manager, not an accountant that does day-to-day stuff. That's what I'm looking for, as a manager.
I mean, are you going to list that in the job description that you put out for the finance manager?
The job description, yes. As far as education goes, would either require, they can have an accounting degree or a finance degree or a public administration degree, because I have a public administration degree and we do take finance and accounting classes as a public administrator. It is part of the curriculum in that field. So I'm comfortable having someone with a public administration degree.
I forget what you called it, the last person, account clerk.
Yes.
What level would they come in at salary-wise, and would we be able to attract someone that has enough skills to accomplish the job description at that level?
Yes, I believe the salary range is about $30,000 for a part-timer. So I think we can attract someone for $30,000 working part-time. I think that'd be no problem.
I need some help again. Which of those positions, you're going to hire a finance manager?
Yes. So we'll hire a finance manager. The accounting series is just a professional growth type
Right. Okay.
opportunity for the accounting specialist.
Right.
The accounting specialist will be the associate accountant right here, and then the account clerk is budgeted in the 14-15 as really as a placeholder.
Yeah. Maybe I was thinking of the associate accountant.
The associate accountant.
That's the one that's got to know how to,
Right, and that's Caitlin, and she's doing that right now.
Okay.
And she's doing that right now. So the bump on that is $1,400 a year for her. She'll be adjusted an additional $1,400 a year.
So we're not gonna do away with it?
No, not at all. No, it's just a promotion opportunity, an opportunity for her not only to grow in the organization, but really grow in the industry as well, in the finance industry.
Okay.
I have another question. You mentioned, at the last part, you mentioned that there's going to be a rate increase in PERS. How does that affect us?
Mark, you want to help me answer that? I mean, I know it's because we're in a pool, so it's incredible. We're in a pool, so everyone's in a pool. The rate's going to be adjusted. So what that cost is going to be, I don't know. Do we have that cost yet from CalPERS? I don't think we do. We're just making some assumptions.
For 14-15, we're making an assumption. They released an estimate to where they believe that the rate would go up about 1% over 13-14. And our 13-14 rate is just a very small increase compared to what we're paying now. But once we get to 12 to 14-15, they are estimating about a 1% bump.
And how much money would that be? Is that for all the employees?
Yes, that would be all the employees, yes.
When you say 1%, you mean 1% over what we're paying, or
Yeah, we're paying about
12%,
11
we'd be paying 13%.
We're paying about, the rate would increase by 1%. We're paying 11.6 now. It's going to go up to about 12.5 is what they're estimating.
Okay,
that's different than-
that's my question.
Yeah.
Which percent-wise is a larger increase than that, but rate-wise it's just.
Thank you.
A follow-up question: do the employees pay that, or do we pay that increase?
That we pay that part, the 12%. We pay that.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions?
If none, I'll go on to M&O.
Do we have to approve this right now? Or
This
what
is not approval. This is
discussion.
Discussion. Take comments. If there's anything you don't like, tell me to take it out of the budget. Or if there's anything you want me to add to the budget, we'll put it on the budget.
I was thinking.
What would you think we would like you to take out?
Nothing.
Our 20-hour employee. Can I speak to?
Yeah.
Okay. Would it be wiser for us to, if we're going to make him a full-time employee, then go to an outside vendor to do our maintenance at the two facilities, and probably get more out of him as a full-time employee?
I mean, contract out?
Get contract out for the two facilities, and you could probably get it less than 20 hours a week. I would think it'd be a lot less. Just a thought for you.
Okay, so we can definitely look into that. I just want to try to clear. I get what you're looking for. So you want us?
Because I think you need another employee, because he can work with, going to the pump stations and help, and the crew when one person's off.
So you're saying hire the full-timer just for the maintenance crew and then contract out the building maintenance?
That's what I would think. That would be wiser, because then he would be learning the full-time job instead of taking half of his time on maintenance.
I tell you what, we will look into that, and then we'll bring that.
That's just me speaking. We haven't discussed this at all, but.
So we'll look into that, and we'll do some cost comparisons and bring that back to the board for consideration.
Bob?
It'll take our crew, what, 6 months to get through the cleaning cycle?
Yes, less than 6 months. I'm hoping by June 30th that they will, the goal is to get it done by June 30th this year.
Yes, so I don't really see why it's an imposition for them to, well, they're going to get it done in 6 months this year, even though they've been called off, you know, to go help the pump station guy.
Not necessarily. I mean, the goal is to get it done on June 30th. If I keep to pull them off to help with the pump station, then that's going to extend out past June 30th.
Because they're doing hotspots and other things.
They're doing hotspots and they're doing the regular cleaning too, correct?
But so the last half of the year, they won't have the sewer cleaning to do.
Well, my goal, I see where you're going with that, but my goal is to have them get done by June 30th, and that way I want them to start the next cycle before in the fall of 13-14, because I want to, again, I want to be very aggressive on the cleaning, because I want to cut down our SSOs.
Mr. President, will our part-time person be PERS, under PERS, or be hit the hours for
No,
PERS?
it'll be 1,000 hours or less.
1,000 hours, and then will we figure it out if they'll be triggered by the ACA and require health benefits, the Affordable Care Act, federal law?
Don't know if you're looking at that.
Which part-time position are you referring to? The part-time
The
clerk?
account clerk?
Okay. No, we have not looked into that.
We're looking at that.
That's next year anyway.
It's 14, 15, and it's, again, it's just a placeholder. We don't know if we're going to need that position or not.
One last question. How much, we presently spend 14% on personnel
Right.
of the total budget,
About 14.5%, correct.
and it'll go up
17%.
17%?
Yes. 17%.
17% if we hire the part-time clerk.
17%
this year.
17% for 13, 14, 18% and 14, 15.
Okay.
That takes into account the finance manager
Yes.
position more than anything. More than the part-timer.
Well, it takes that account, also the maintenance assistants going full-time. There's a little jump in the associate accountant as well, so that's impacting the increase. And then we got, you know, the COLA increase, COLA for everyone, 2%. So that's all impacting that percentage. So.
When do you plan on bringing this back to us for final approval?
Well, if I go back, so here's, again, this is the, kind of the schedule again. So here we are today. We have the strategic plan on the 3rd. So there might be some other programs the board might want to implement, so that could adjust the spending plan, which is fine. We'll talk about the revenue projections. So we'll bring what we're talking about today, we'll bring that back in May. We'll be May 23rd, and we'll talk about it again. And again, that's another opportunity for the board or the members of the public. If they have any changes, suggestions, we will make that, and then we'll bring the final budget in on June.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Good.
Good. Any more questions? I'll move on to M&O.
Any more questions of Scott?
Okay. Thank you. All right. I'll go to our maintenance and operations, and what we're seeing in maintenance operations, we're actually seeing about a 3% decrease from 13-14 from this current fiscal year, and as you'll see in my presentation, that's primarily because of capital outlay. There's a significant decrease in the capital outlay, which I'll get more details here in a few minutes. But as you know, we have 6 departments in the organization, in each of the 6 departments, and as you see, each department, some will have an increase in their budget, some will have a decreases in their budgets, and I'll explain each department here right now. So the administration budget, that's my office, that's district council. I also deal with personnel, risk, emergency preparedness, HQ building maintenance, also as well as permit technician and front office, quite a bit. And what I've listed on here are some of the significant changes in this budget. For HQ maintenance, again, that is some maintaining our facilities. Like for example, next year we're going to have to probably tent this building for pest control. So which is one of the benefits of having someone here part-time. At least he can go around and continually assessing our buildings and making sure that it's up to standards. So we're seeing some increases in our maintenance. The sewer line assistance program, I am recommending an increase in $225,000. Right, if you want to increase it more, we can discuss it. Next month, I plan on printing analysis on our SLAB program, because I do want to bring to the board's attention that while this program has been very successful, we're almost spent $200,000 to date on this program. There are additional costs to this program, like inspections, reviewing the videos, that is really not part of the budget, and I just want to bring that attention to the board, that I want to give you the full overview of that cost. So right now I'm recommending $225,000. If you want to increase it or decrease it, you know, of course we can always discuss that, but that's what I'm proposing for this program. The professional services, we're having fewer studies done for next fiscal year. You know, this year we're looking at the zero waste plan and the knowledge transfer program. For next year, we want to do a wireless capabilities from HQ to the yard, and that will allow the maintenance crew to take tough tops out in the field, and they can upload the GIS out in the field, or in work orders out in the field. So everything will be real time when we're out in the field. So that's, hopefully we'll get that in place next year, and that's what we have budgeted on the professional services. For contract services, the significant changes here is that we are, as you know, we're contracting out for the permitting technician position with Wildan, and we plan on continue doing that until we finish our assessment on that position. So we budgeted that accordingly for that position, and that's why you see that budget going up from $0 to $27,000.
I thought you had a problem with Wildan when you chose a different one. No?
No, no problem with that.
I thought there was some kind of conflict. No?
No. No. And then on our capital outlay, what I'm proposing is to tear up and redo the parking lot here. As you see, the major cracks in the parking lot, the striping is fading, so the plan of $50,000 for doing that is to tear up and repave the parking lot. So put that in the budget. The district clerk, even though I'm the district clerk, you know, Nolani pretty much is responsible for that department. These are the responsibilities that she is in charge of, which is quite a bit. So for her budget, for next fiscal year, there's no election, so we don't have that $60,000 we're saving for next year. Postage is going down, and that's not necessarily meaning that our postage costs are really going down. What it's doing, I just transferred over to the solid waste budget, because in the past, the newsletter was out of the district clerk's office. Joan used to do that all the time, and that's where the postage came out of. So now it's out of Javier's responsible for doing that, so I just transferred that cost over to his budget. And then our contract services, we are going to contract scanning all our approved plans in the GIS, so that the goal is that when the guys are out in the field and they have their tough tops and they're pulling the GIS, they go pull up plans. So that's the idea on that. This new item is, I put this in red because it wasn't in your budget when I submitted to you. This came to our attention after the staff report was sent out. The web link licenses for $10,000. That's allowed right now. The way our website works, any 5 people can go on our website, but if a 6th person goes on our website at the same time, they'll be blocked out. So what this does is gives us additional licenses, so up to 10 people. So 10 people go on our license at the same time, on our website at the same time. That's what this is. And then the scanning of our HR documents. Right now, if we lose our HR documents, if this building, God forbid, burns down or an earthquake, we have no backup for our HR documents. So we got to scan our documents in Laserfish so we have some backup. Very important. We need to do that, and that's $3,000 we're budgeting for that.
What's the?
I'm sorry, if we're scanning those documents, are those subject to public records?
No, they generally would be accepted from it as a personnel record or a medical issue, privacy under the California Constitution.
Same as if we have them in writing.
Yes.
Yeah, we just need to make sure they're a safe place.
Exactly.
Yeah, right now they're not.
You're talking about digitally.
Yes. Yes. Correct. The equipment maintenance, that's just a Laserfish software, so allows you to download your documents on your iPads and on our website. And then the public info, again, same as the postage. I'm transferring that over to solid waste because it used to be under Joan's office. Now it's over in the solid waste, a lot of the public information. So that's why you're seeing a decrease in that budget. This is the finance responsibilities, as you know, as typical, accounting payable, accounts payable, purchasing payroll. We do contract Mark's firm out of this account, as our district treasurer. And so some of the significant expenses out of this department, even though we're seeing a decrease in the fiscal services, the CBS contract is increased slightly to handle, because Mark is the interim accounting manager, so him and Jackie are still providing those internal controls for us, and so that cost is going up a little bit until we fill that position. And then the asset management charge, that's an internal charge that we charge the departments to set up an internal fund. So when our vehicles are due for replacement, the money's there. We don't have to dip into the reserves or anywhere. It's an internal charge for our vehicle replacements. And last year we bought the Volt, so that replacement charge is going up. And of course we spent over $300,000 on a new factory truck or a sewer combination truck, so that's why that related charge is going up to $175,000. And then the transfer out, that's just transferring out to pay our capital improvement plan. That's all that is. To transfer out from the asset management fund into the, transfer out into the capital improvement plan. Next I'll talk about engineering. Again, this is primarily Rob's function. This is the engineering designs, inspection services. He does also manage our FOG program with the restaurants and also our inflow reduction program. Rob Hamers is our district engineer, so that's where we fund this budget out of. Proposal is the contract services. In our asset management plan, it's telling us there's a line segment that's ductile iron pipe that's due for replacement. So Rob and I believe it would be prudent to assess all our ductile iron pipes, which he has found where he knows where they are now. He knows where they are located, and so we're going to do an assessment on our DIPs. And based on the assessment, we'll determine if they need to do any kind of rehabilitation. We also need to do a hydraulic modeling for our sewer system, so that's $700. Inside inspections, that is inspections that are inspected by other organizations like Irvine Ranch Water District, City of Costa Mesa, City of Newport Beach, School District. We go out and inspect their work to make sure they're not impeding on our sewers. I'm showing a decrease in that amount because I want to accommodate also for the outside inspection. That's for the developers. We're seeing an increase in development. As we know, the economy's improving, and we're seeing that ourselves, which is good. And so I'm foreseeing an increase in the outside inspection, so I want to adjust for that. And then our inflow reduction. Right now, we've already got plans to 1,000 of our manhole, 1,008 manhole covers to be plugged and sealed. Occasionally those come undone. So we still got to go out and hire someone to, to plug and seal those manhole covers. That's what $10,000 is for.
On the ductile iron pipe,
yes.
Rob, how do you analyze that?
With a TV camera going through it, if it can go
So
through.
you ream it out.
Well, first we TV it, and then when we rehabilitate it, the method these days is to ream it out, just like you mentioned, and then line the pipe.
They're all gravity sewers?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
When we're plugging the manholes, do we hire a firm to do that, or?
It's pretty much Joe that does that.
Okay.
Joe, yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Joe would do that. Okay. So solid waste. This is the budget that Javier manages, and it's one of the largest budgets. It is our largest budget in the district. 94% of that is for the contract with CRNR, but we also have other solid waste programs, which I think you would agree that we offer quite an extensive array of programs for our residents. The challenge is just getting the word out to people about our great programs. What's the proposed cost? We're not seeing any additional costs in trash or recycling disposal. I'll know more in April, and that's when I'm expecting a letter from CRNR as far as any rate increases. But our preliminary estimates say we're not expecting any kind of increases. The HHW, that's the door-to-door collection program, $50,000 for that program. We budgeted down a little bit, only because we're trying to get the word out, but I don't know, Javier, do you know how many we've done so far, door-to-door collections?
Under 20.
Under 20, so, we're trying to get the word out, but it's not taking off as we thought it was, so we're going to budget a little bit down on that one, but still aggressively try to get people to participate in that program, the seniors and disabled residents participate. Catalog Choice is our junk mail program, and we're going to discontinue that program on because they're going to discontinue it. It's just not profitable. So we're going to try to. We think obviously junk mail is a good junk mail reduction program. Is a good program. We just got to find another way of rolling that program and to the residents. Professional services is going down. but the $17,000 is for purchasing composting bins. At the end of this year, December, our grant with OC Waste Recycling expires. So that's how we fund our composting program. So we're gonna have to fund that ourselves. So the $17,000 is, or I think it's $15,000 out of this is for the remaining of the 6 months of that of the fiscal year. And then in 14-15, we're gonna be budgeting $30,000 for that, because that's the full year we have to budget for that program. Contract services, of the $20,000, we are gonna recommend sponsoring another HHW collection event at OCC. That was really successful last year. OC Waste and Recycling will split the costs, so this is half the cost, $23,000. We think it's a really great program and it should continue, so we'll do that again next fiscal year if the board wants us to proceed. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the public info and community promo was transferred from the district clerk's office to the solid waste management to promote our programs. The sewer operations, not much change in the M&O. What's changing a lot is the capital outlay. I do want to mention one of the programs that we're recommending. What we learned from last Sunday. Remember last Sunday we had that issue with the manhole cover and we needed a welder. Well, we thought, well, why don't we see one of our maintenance workers would be willing to be trained, certified as a welder, and they said yes, they would like to do that, and that will definitely, if we have to have the welder on site, we can add that to our utility truck and it'll be really efficient. And for that, it's like for the training and the additional compensation is $500 a year. So that's one recommendation. Then the capital outlay, and like I said, last year most of it was for the sewer combination truck, over $300,000. Next year we're recommending replacing the utility truck, because for one, the existing crane on the utility truck can't lift the larger pumps like an Eldon pump station. So this new crane will do that. This new truck will allow us to do that. It's over 10 years old as well, so it's due for replacement. And that's what the truck would look like, something like that. And then we're also recommending a couple more smart covers. The smart covers, they tell us they sense the high water in the pipes. That gives it a little extra time before we get alarms from the pump station. So we're looking at purchasing a couple more smart covers.
Going back to the truck,
yes.
we sell the other truck.
Yes, we would auction it off, and then the money from that auction would go into our asset replacement fund.
Yeah.
Have we been saving for that truck?
Yes, there's money for that, plenty of money for that truck, absolutely. And that's part of that asset replacement charge. That's why we were able to do that. And I mentioned this earlier, tough tops. We're going to get tough tops for the guys out in the field so they can download their GIS and work orders. And then we're also proposing to purchase a temporary electrical panel. That will allow us, if we have to do work on our panel, we'll still have a temporary panel that will still feed power into our pump stations, and we can still work on the permanent electrical panel. Right now we have to rent them out, and so.
Do you think one is enough?
Yeah, one should be enough. Yes.
Does one size fit all?
I believe so. They will get one that will accommodate all of our panels.
20 pump station panels?
Well, it'll just be one temporary panel, because when we go work on a panel, we're not going to work on all of them at 20. This is for
No, I mean,
procedures.
this device is intended to allow the workers to work on the electrical panels at the pump stations.
Yes, correct. And the pump will still operate like nothing's happened. So.
How is that run? Is that run by a generator or just the regular power that's coming into the line?
Don't know that question. I'll follow up on that. I don't know.
How do they do it now? You don't know that either.
So the rest of my guys will tell me it's already, but I'll find that information for you.
Maybe does Rob know, maybe possibly?
Do you know about the temporary panels, electrical panels?
Yes. The temporary panel is so you can actually remove the existing panel, so it runs off the electricity that's normally being fed to. Like if you're going to remove the whole electrical enclosure, take everything apart, put a new electrical enclosure in, you have to take all the components out. So the panel hooks into the electrical service and just provides a temporary connection to the station.
Thank you. I didn't know.
Thank you.
Just curiosity, when we do that, do we have to notify Edison that we're doing that?
No.
We have the authority to go ahead.
Boy, the circuit break probably.
Well, I'm sure there's some kind of.
We had those in
Master
the fish
station.
fry. Remember?
Yes, I do. But we didn't tell Edison.
Hank Hornsfeld made it.
I know.
Okay. And lastly, we have $62,000 on replacing various equipment and pump stations, and this is conform with our capital, our asset management plan. Our asset management is telling us that certain equipment in our pump station are due for replacement. So again, this is being proactive and replacing the equipment before they fail, and that's we budget $62,000 for that. Any questions before I go on to 1415?
Yes. Are you thinking about continuing as a clerk, or is Lonnie going to become the clerk?
My vision is that one day I'll pass that torch over to Milani. So
is that soon, or is that?
Yeah, well, depend on Milani. You know, there's certain she's training to get her certificates on clerks. There's a certificate of training.
I think it would be wiser for you for that to happen as soon as possible. I think.
Yes. Well, yes. That's the envision.
That's pressure on Milani.
No, I'm just saying it'd be better for you.
Well, you haven't budgeted it though, have you?
No, it's not budgeted. But we talked. Milani talked about this, and she knows that there's definitely growth opportunity here in your position. Okay.
Out of curiosity, if anything failed, how many generators do we have?
Well, that's a good question. So we have 20 pump stations. We have currently 3 generators and 3 bypass pumps. So we're short, what, 40? Oh, and then we have a couple of, we have about 3 what we call trash pumps. And what that does is it's a small little pump that it doesn't lower the water, but it just keeps it level. It prevents it from overflowing. So we have a few of those. I think we have about 3 of those. So that's 9. And that really ties in why we're trying to install these permanent generators and bypass pumps at our critical stations. Once that happens, that'll help alleviate that need. Yeah, because we anticipate, you know, if there was a massive power outage like now in San Diego, yes, we'd be scrambling.
Yeah.
Is California Street at the top of the list in terms of priorities for power?
I'm just curious.
All the sewage would be running that direction.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and that nuclear plant's gonna go in.
You also have the Vector truck.
Keep
Yes.
your
Which one?
surfboard handy.
Yeah, or that's right.
Okay, so the 14-15 M&O budget, well, it's only about $10,000 difference from 13-14. If you compare it to current fiscal year, it's a decrease of almost $326,000. And some of the significant changes in the 14-15 budget. Under administration, we're proposing doing a classification salary benefits survey just to make sure that everyone is performing their work accordingly and they're being paid accordingly. And this would be also including the private sector too. I think we'd also survey the private sector and see if our salary ranges are in line. And then we're buying some new computers. We have computers that are at the end of their lifespan, so we need to replace those before they fail. Under the district clerk, we have the elections 2014, so we budget $50,000 for that. And then our finance asset replacement, that's because we have the utility truck online, and then that's why that cost is going up, because now we've got to increase the charge for replacing that vehicle within 10 years. And then our transfer out, that's according to our asset management plan, that we have to transfer out $1.8 million to fund our capital improvement plan. So that's what that's for. Engineering, there's a small increase, and that's just the impact on, I mean, Rob's recommending or suggesting that his fees are increased in 14-15, and that's according to his agreement with the district. The first 4 years, the cost has been stable, and now in 14-15 will be his 5th year, and he is recommending or suggesting a 1.8 increase in his fees, and these are the proposed fees. Do you have any questions on that, Rob, or you want to comment on that?
No, so unless there are questions.
Okay, all right, very good.
Is that 1.8 too low, based on CPI?
That's what Rob's proposing is.
That's a 1.8% per year.
That's what I mean, but still, the CPI is going up like 2%.
Yeah.
That's
Do
pretty
you
good deal.
feel comfortable, Al?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you for asking.
Okay, so solid waste, as I mentioned earlier, we got to fund all the composting bins, so because we don't have the grant anymore, so that's for a full year. I am projecting the CNR's cost to remain constant, but again, I won't know more until next month when I sit down with Dean and get the proposal or his letter on the rates.
Do you need a motion to that effect?
And then 14-15, we have to do another SSNP audit, which we just kicked off our SSNP audit yesterday. We're doing that this year, and so we got to do it every 2 years, so we budget 20 grand for that. And then our capital outlays, again, some more smart covers, manhole covers as well. And then the electrical replacement, again, that's according to our asset management plan. It's saying by 14-15, we have certain equipment that needs to be replaced. So again, we're being proactive and replacing that equipment. Bob?
Do you have a plan for where the smart covers are going to go?
I don't with me right now, but staff will sit down and we'll strategize where most likely are by our most critical stations.
California Street. How many smart covers does that entail?
I think that's 2.
Just 2?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
just
quite
2?
expensive. Yeah, they're expensive.
Do you feel comfortable with that the manhole covers, 15,000?
Yes.
With the way, you know.
Those manhole covers, we're buying the manhole covers without pick holes for our I&I program. So that's what that is, and I don't know how many that is, but it should be fine. If not, I mean, that's according to my staff. I think it's historically what we've replaced every year.
You were talking about getting someone certified to be a welder, and they're going to be welding the covers to the frames?
No, not necessarily. It's just a welder in case we need one. It's really like,
okay.
The incident like we had last Sunday where we needed a welder. They're not going to be welding anything down. It's just a nice backup to have, because to find a welder, 2 o'clock in the morning is pretty difficult. And so if we needed one, then we have one.
Well, that incident you're going to weld the cover to the frame. You would have welded the cover to the frame last week?
Yes, last Sunday we did, correct. But but then the following Monday we replaced that manhole cover, so it's not welded down anymore. We replaced it.
They could also learn to weld the hole shut.
We talked about that. Unfortunately, because of the way that that type of iron, we talked to welders, they said we can't do that. It's very difficult to weld the pick holes because of the way that iron is made. We looked
The
into
vent
that.
holes.
Yeah, the pick holes. We talked about that.
Okay.
Are those manhole covers the ones you were talking about in your last weekly update, the locking ones?
No. These are ones without the ones here. What we need to do is analyze how many we're talking about in the intersection. We don't know yet, so we need to analyze. These are the ones that don't have any pick holes, really for our I&I program. So our total spending plan, if you look from the 13-14 to the 12-13, it's basically a 14,000 decrease, which is really a 1/10% decrease. And if you look at it, remember we're proposing a rate adjustment. And if that's approved, even though it's a rate adjustment, the total revenue is neutral. So we don't want to spend a lot more than we have that we're spending in 12-13. So that's why you're seeing the expense of total spending plan really in line for what we're currently spending right now. Now, even though that red bar looks like a big jump, it's only accounts for $130,000, $130,860, and that's a 1.2% increase. And again, you might recall the 5-year plan for the rate proposal for sewers, if that is a 2% increase. So again, we don't want to increase our expenditures by more than 2%. So this is a 1.2% increase overall. So we want to make sure our expenditures are in line. So these are our total spending plans for.
What is that? What is that line right above the yellow line? Is that 10.8?
Yes, 10.8.
Okay, I thought it was 10.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is that. What's recommending tonight is, again, this is just really a feedback questions. If there's anything you don't like, tell us to take out, we'll take it out. If you want us to add anything, this is the time to do it, and we'll bring it back in the May meeting. We do request, though, if possible, that you can direct us to begin the finance manager recruitment. That way we can hire someone by July. So if you approve it tonight, at least in concept, we can begin recruiting the finance manager, and then we can have that person on board on July. And then the welder, we need an amendment to the employee handbook because I don't have authority to change the classifications of positions. And so if we're going to require the maintenance workers to weld, that needs to be approved by the board. So we'll recommend tonight, if you're okay with that, to approve amending the handbook, employee handbook, and then we will amend those accordingly. So that's what we're recommending tonight.
Is that for all the maintenance workers?
Yeah. We said one at a time, 1 year at a time. I mean, if they all want to, and actually it's only for maintenance worker 3s. So maintenance workers 1 wouldn't be eligible. So we have 2 maintenance workers 3s. If they both want to do it, then I would do it 1 year at a time. So that's
wise.
Yeah.
Just a quick question, Mr. Brown. There were some technology upgrades and things you talked about in there, like the smart covers, the tough covers, whatever they call them. Have you given any thought to some technological updates here in the building?
I haven't really been. Any other
well, I guess kind of what I'm getting to is we seem to struggle technologically with these things going in and out, and you know, like tonight the Wi-Fi keeps shutting off and stuff. I'd really like to see this building totally sufficient. I mean, so that we don't have to keep struggling with stuff. So if you can incorporate some of that, I'd be interested in seeing.
Okay.
Some, and again, I don't know what it takes, whether you have to, whatever it takes, but I think something like that needs to be considered as well.
An upgrade, you mean?
Yeah, upgrade to the Wi-Fi or whatever you guys have in here.
Whatever it takes to make these things work.
Whatever it takes to make these things work all the time.
So that he didn't have to help me.
My pleasure.
And possibly a bigger screen.
Screen on
I mean, because they, you know, I've been to different facilities where have the same thing, but it's on a bigger screen.
Well, there are some.
On
I think
iPad?
the new iPad's got a bigger. Or there was some talk about an iPad with a bigger screen. But
Yeah, just a thought.
Okay.
Or go to Rite Aid and buy some glasses.
Is that well, the school board they have laptops.
They use laptops.
They use laptops for their education. That's a big screen.
I don't know if what we do can be accommodated with a laptop, can it? I mean.
Well, I think even if we had a laptop, we'd probably still run into the same problems we're having with the technology. I think that's the number one focus is to make sure these are working properly and don't freeze up all the time. And we had our IT guy after the last meeting. We had our IT guy come here and look everything over. It's frustrating on our end too because you know it's technology that you want it to work, right? And so we'll look into it.
Well, going to laptops would probably triple your budget.
Yes, it would. It would. Yes, definitely.
Stop.
You've been in and out of email service a lot lately. TRC is the email internet service provider, and why don't they know how to fix the problems?
Well, you know, I had an interesting conversation with him today because you know we went into what's called a T1 line, and it's a bigger line, and he said that which means we're more susceptible to spam now because we're a bigger line. Well, we need to take that into consideration. Don't we have firewalls and stuff? Well, yes, we do, and it's just that you know, yeah, it's frustrating. We think we found out a solution so we can get our emails back up online. But yeah, it is frustrating. If the board wants, we can look at another contractor.
You know, I deal with a T1 line in my office. That's what State Farm provides me, a T1 line, and some of the same things happen. I mean, even to the point where if it rains, we seem to have problems because it's all telephone.
It's a bigger line, so you got more opportunities for you know, people to try malware and spam you, and so you know it's like a catch-22. Okay, we can go back to the DSL line, and, you know, and it's very slow, and you know it's just
so all businesses this size have the same problem.
Yes, and from my understanding, from our IT, he showed us a link, a press link that we weren't the only ones that got affected by this email. It was worldwide.
There was something on the news actually this morning that there was whatever this thing is affecting systems all over the world, and I'm sure we're all subject to it.
It didn't affect my home system.
Well, when you're, I mean, what kind of system you have
Yeah.
isn't sophisticated enough.
Those 2 squirrels.
When the squirrels are running.
The Chinese weren't interested in you.
Smoke signals weren't working very well this morning.
No, I'm just encouraging you to continue to look for opportunities because it's a business function that should work.
Well, it's gonna get more and more critical that this stuff work right.
Agreed. If there are no other questions, if it's okay with the board, I would still like to get some direction on number 3 and number 4 on the screen.
I would, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would move that you proceed with the recommendations, number 3 and number 4, in the spending plan recommendations.
I'll second it.
Before we vote on it, how many employees are we gonna have at the end of the day? Are we gonna add 2 this next year? Is that what?
No, we would just
One.
add one employee, because the part-timer would be full-time.
So we'd
But
have 13 or?
yeah, we'd have correct 13.
Well, you're adding one potential for another half.
And then another half, so potential 1.5. Correct.
Then the following year, possibly.
Well, yeah, the next year would be 1, then the following 14, 15, possibly a half.
Okay. I just wanted to get that.
Sure.
Any further, was there a motion?
Yes.
And a second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
I meant to say aye.
Yeah. Where
Thank
are
you.
we here?
We are on item number 15, CIP, and I do have another slide presentation, and this is not I promise you it's not as long, it's only a couple slides. So let me bring this up. Okay. So our proposal for our CIP for the next 2 years. And this is for next fiscal year. Of course, our West Side Abandonment, continue funding that program. Our goal is to obtain $3 million into that account. I think after this year we'll have over $2 million in the fund. Right now we are in the process of trying to pig and eventually do the piping technology at 4 of our force mains, Harbor, Mendoza, Victoria, and Southwest Plaza. We are assuming the worst, sounds like what happened to Santa Ana in 23rd, and so that's what we're budgeting $1 million for force main upgrades. We also, again, according to our asset management plan, we have pump station equipment that needs to be replaced by pump stations at $260,000. And then we have some valve and pipe inside Eldon pump stations. We do have some valve and pipe replacement that needs to be needed, and that's $150,000. And then lastly, I'm recommending that we install a generator, an emergency generator at the yard, because right now, this room right now is our EOC, and if by chance if this building becomes uninhabitable, then we have to go to alternate EOC, and if there's no power over at the yard, we're pretty much useless.
Would that be a permanent generator?
Yes.
Or portable?
Be a permanent generator. That's correct. So that's total almost $2 million in CIP.
$150,000 for a generator. That seems like a lot of money to me. Is that not?
Yeah, it's depending based on this is from designs and also refueling, installation, all that stuff. Yeah, and the actual generator itself.
Yeah.
Yes, it's everything.
Would that be like diesel run?
Yes.
Why couldn't it be a portable? I mean, that way if a pump station was down, you have additional generator.
Well, let's assume this way. What happens? Again, let's assume the worst. If all our pump stations are down, we're gonna use all those portables to take them out of the pump stations. And so now, if all our pump stations are down, we're assuming that means all of Costa Mesa is down, and that means our yard's going to be down. So we're going to need those portable generators at our pump stations. So it'd be, my opinion, it'd be more feasible to have a permanent generator. And that's a good point. We might not want to go diesel since that's a green building. Maybe we might want to look maybe a natural gas type generator.
You know, just a thought, because you know we're giving scenarios that might happen, but probably the pump station might go out more than this building or the one at the yard.
Exactly. I mean, again, it's no way to foretell, but you know, it's always my opinion always be safe than sorry, and you know, I think we could. I personally think we need to have a permanent generator and keep the portable generators available for the pump stations.
Just a thought for you.
Very good. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Well, let me go on to next year's budget. Remember, this is a 2-year budget, so I got next year's too.
Oh,
So this is 14, 15.
Oh,
And there's no need to motion. This is just for comments.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need to approve anything. So.
And did we all get that stuff you guys brought back from the conference about the AQMD and we had that in our possession now?
They looked into that, and
Yeah.
I think we were right, weren't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so again, another year of west side abandonment, so another $400,000. The sewer manhole rehab. Rob, can you go into that number 194 for me? Explain what that is.
Sure. Thank you. Basically, because of hydrogen sulfide causes corrosion, the interiors of the pumping stations do deteriorate. And every so often, as in the year 2002, we recoated many of the pumping stations. So this project will recoat 3 of the interiors of the pumping stations, along with making repairs to the inside of manholes that are deteriorated also because of corrosion. That's basically it. The last project we did, we coated 5 pumping stations and rehabilitated 68 manholes. This is a lot smaller. 3 pumping stations and approximately 20 manholes to date.
Thank you, Rob. And then the next line item is our sewer line rehab grade 4, phase 1. We are finishing up phase 2 and of the grade 5s. Remember we did an assessment on all of our line segments, and grade 5s are imminent, right? Imminent failure. So we're finishing up phase 2. Phase 3 is in plan checks right now, Rob?
That's correct.
And so we're hoping to get that bidded out before the end of the fiscal year. So then in 14-15, what we want to do is begin on the grade 4s before they become a grade 5. And so this one is phase 1, $560,000 to rehabilitate grade 4s, and then I believe there's 5 phases of this. Has 5 phases to the grade 4. There's a lot more grade 4s than there are grade 5s.
I think there's 1,400 in there.
Yeah, there's quite a few. Quite a few. So we want to get a heads up on the grade 4, so that's what this project is. And then we wanted to install a permanent generator at the Harbor Pump Station. Again, going on reliability of power. This manhole rehabilitation is different, a little bit different than what Rob talked about. Again, this is according to our asset management plan. We have a lot of manholes that are bricks, that are brick layered, and so they're deteriorating because of hydrogen sulfides, and they're just they're over 50 years old. They need to be replaced. So the project will be to, what's that, the lining called, the poly, Rob, the lining,
Polyurethane?
Call it polyurethane. The polyurethane lining that goes inside the manhole cover, and now you have a fully rehabilitated manhole. And we're looking at rehabilitating 30 manholes for $360,000. And then the last CIP, this is a hotspot that Rob, myself, and the maintenance crews, we meet quarterly on hotspots. And this location, Bristol and Randolph, has a large, huge sags in the line. It's how long is it? 100 feet?
150. 100 of it is in the intersection.
Right. 100 of it's in Placentia, right?
Bristol and Randolph.
Okay. Yes. So it's a large sags. It'd be more prudent to replace that line than continuing cleaning it. So $150,000 will replace that sewer lag, the sag, and then this hotspot location will be removed from our all the other locations.
And then you noted in there that you have to maintain this 4 times a year.
Yes.
And you've never had a SSO at that location. I look back for all the years that I have data. There's never been an SSO at that location. So Costa sewer crew, in 2 hours, 4 times a year.
Yes, and if we replace the sag, then that's going to last us another 50, 60, 70 years. And so over time, that if you estimate what staff is spending now over 60, 70 years, it's going to spend more. It's going to be more than $150,000.
Okay, well, you should bring that analysis to the operations committee sometime.
Sure. So we, if I'm hearing you correctly, you want me to have this project on hold until we find more information, or?
Well, it's on hold because it's 2 years out.
Right.
So sometime in near the next budget year or sometime, you know, they're spending 8 hours a year cleaning it. If they spend 2 hours each time, I can't imagine that would ever add up to. That wouldn't even take, you know, the interest on $150,000 is
I'll bring the analysis back.
ton more.
For lunch?
Okay. The winner gets to choose the place.
Sounds
Do
confident.
we have any plans to do anything on Arlington?
We always go to
before
Chipotle.
the
He
fair starts?
buys.
You know, that's a real area that's,
Not that I can look into it. I don't think.
yeah.
Does that ring a bell to you, Rob, Arlington?
The sewers there were replaced as part of
I see it now.
the first transfer from OCSD to CMSD. So there was a new line constructed in Arlington, and the existing one at the east side is very short. So there are no plans at this time for any sewer work in Arlington.
Okay, I was just curious.
But it's a good idea because
Before the fair
right.
starts and you get all these, the traffic is unreal
Right.
there.
It has been upgraded.
Okay.
Wow.
You don't have a project to get down to 44 or down to 40 hotspots on there, do you?
Because those projects, if we do it, it would be like either a regular maintenance or a capital outlay. Because anything over 100 grand, or if it's an asset management, then we put it in our CIP. But the other hotspot locations that we're analyzing, it could, you know, we believe it's probably less than 100 grand. Some of them we might not need to remove. It might be, like you said, might be more cost effective if we continue cleaning them. So
Okay.
it's
Okay.
just on a location by location.
The goal is to get to 40 by when?
You gave me a year. Just the goal is to get under 40.
Okay. Maybe in this strategic plan we should set a goal. I don't care.
Yes, you do.
Okay. Just again, nothing to approve this, but just seek your comments. If you're okay with this, or if there's anything else you want me to add, please let me know.
Any other comments or questions?
Just one. Rob, do you know when they're going to build the, when Orange County Sand District's going to build the, whatever they choose to do?
Approximately 2016.
They'll start construction 2016?
Well, it could be then, it could be a little later.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it'll be earlier than then.
I thought they said 15 last time we met with it.
Well, 15, 16, I was using the end of the year.
15, 16.
And when will we get the engineer's estimate on?
On ours,
Yeah.
we're working on that right now. We're putting together quantities and dollars to, we've done a lot of the preliminary engineering to where we do understand what the challenges are. We have
Okay.
some very deep sewer, which will take boring technology. And we're starting to put together the cost estimates for that. So we are getting closer to our cost estimate for our side, and we'll know where we stand budget-wise.
And do you think, you have a wild ass guess as to when that'll be?
Maybe in the June, July timeframe.
Of this year?
Yes.
Great.
Okay, let's move along. City of Costa Mesa 60th anniversary.
We want the lights back on.
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. President. This is before discussion. The Costa Mesa Sanitary is participating with the city on their 60th anniversary. Vice President Schaefer is the chair of that committee. Also, Director Uten participates in the committee, and also one of my staff members was on that committee as well. So we are actively participating on that committee and planning for the event. And before you tonight is some suggestions if the board wants the district to partner with the committee and be a sponsor of the events. And I listed several options that you can do. One idea is that you can look at putting banners on CNR's trucks, which we were talking about the operations committee and I think Craig Rowe was okay with it, but wanted to talk more about it with the board on that, and also want to have more discussion with CNR on that as well. Other ideas is that You know, we can also purchase, you know, like these tote bags and have our logo on it and their logo, you know, the planning committee's logo on it. You know, that's a way of sponsoring the program. Or, you know, we can give away flash drives, you know, with logos on it. It just has to be, we have to tie it into, somehow tie it in with the solid waste and sewers, and that's one way we can tie it into it if you want to, you know, become a sponsor. So, open it for questions and discussion.
As far as the banners on the truck, I think, Dean, we're about ready for the rotation to change anyway, aren't we? I mean, the large item's been up since the first of the year, so we're close.
You're allowed 4 a year,
Yeah.
every quarter. We've done 3. There's 1 left for the fiscal year. That's correct.
Okay.
The only thing that would only be used for the 1 year, so it wouldn't be available for the
For the
following.
next, yeah. Personally, I think it'd be worthwhile to go ahead and have that 4th one done with the anniversary, you know, celebrating and possibly talking to the city's special events coordinator, Dan Joyce, to see what they have available in terms of the logo and things like that. But I think that would be a good gesture. Secondly, I hadn't thought about those bags, but I kind of like that idea from the standpoint that you know, when you go to the market, they talk about not using plastic bags and the recycling stuff. I think this kind of ties in really well with our efforts to get people to recycle and not use things. So, I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so you know they can give those out during the events, you know, all the events.
And hopefully they make those out of something recycled, don't
Yes,
they?
yeah.
That's
The
what
tote
I,
bags, right.
yeah.
Right.
It's non-woven polypropylene,
You know, the last,
whatever that means.
the last ones we had, which were 100 years ago, but anyway,
Yeah,
it was so popular, and we used it for all table events, and
They were
people
insulated too,
loved it.
weren't they
Yeah.
insulated?
Yeah,
I do about 15 of those when I go to the market.
yeah, I believe it.
Insulated ones?
You know, it's the kind with the little individual bottle dividers.
Yeah, you know, I'm guilty.
It's the
of
kind
that.
I like.
I don't do this, but I mean, you go to the market now, and
Yeah.
people, especially young people, are coming in with all these.
That's right.
I kind of like that. I think this
Is
is
that
kind
one
of nice.
insulated on there or not?
No.
And how many would we have to order?
Well, I think that's. I
Do
think
they
that's
give
up
you a
to
deal if you order lots?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You do
Okay.
give a deal. You know, another idea I think in my staff report, you can also promote CMSD programs in their celebration magazine if you want to do that. You know, I put some cost down there. We want to do a full page ad on our programs, $2,500, $1,500 for a half page, $10 for a quarter page, and again, I believe all those funds go fund the events, right? So
It does.
so that's another option you want to do.
You could have a message on there to encourage recycling or something.
Right. Some
Along
about our
those
programs.
lines.
Yeah.
Who does that magazine go to though?
Every resident in the city
is
goes.
it going to
It's
all the
circulating
residents?
55,000. He says circulating
It's going to every
55,000.
house in the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, could we have staff just put together these suggestions financially and see what we wind up with? Because, you know, we've got a lot of them here, but when we wind up with it financially, we'll have to see what we have. You know, like the bags, we've got a lot.
Yeah, I think with the banners, just incorporating that into our
Oh,
normal
yeah.
rotation. I like the idea of the ad, and I apologize if I sound like I'm biased being on the committee, but I think the public needs to be, we've always talked about making the public more aware of what we're doing, and $2,500 seems like a pretty reasonable thing to hit 55,000 people or households.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's well worth $2,500 to do a full page ad and really hit the recycling, and we could even include, you know, the fog funnels or something in that ad that gets people's interest peaked a little bit. So, but I agree with Arlene. I'd like to see the total cost on the bags before we do anything with that.
Well, I guess I would just need to know, you know, and that's really up to the board. I mean, how many bags you wanna give out?
Was it $1.45 for 2,500?
Yes. $1.45. So.
And we would just be giving them out at
So much.
Oh, 2,500, that's a lot.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking, we want to
And
make
not
sure
only
we have a
that,
booth at the fish fry and the
You
run.
know, they even have that during the summer with the movies at Fairview,
Right.
and we
The
can have
concerts
a.
in the park.
yeah,
That's $3,750.
It's $3,625. So I mean, if you want to budget $5,000 or something like that, and we can get a bunch of those, and you can put our logo in and their logo as well.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that personally. The other thing that you're going to see from the chamber really quick, we just got notified yesterday, during the 50th anniversary, they had street banners that they were selling.
Yeah.
Those are going to be offered as well. They're going to be $500 for a business to do a street banner.
Except for one banner.
For one banner. And it'll be up for over 6 months.
It's dirt.
Is that through the chamber for the 50th?
It's initially it's going out to the chamber's distribution, but it's through the money all comes back to the 60th anniversary committee.
Yeah, the magazine sounds like a better idea for 2,500 for 55,000.
Yeah, it's going to hit a lot more people.
And there may be some cost in the trifold later, the sustainability, event sustainability trifold.
Yeah,
And
think
I don't have
the
a clue what
important
that
thing
is.
To figure out what would get the most vision out of, you know?
How much are the flash drives, just for curiosity?
You know, Howard, do you remember you bought some flash drives for us, man. Do you remember how much those were costing?
Believe they were about $3 a piece.
So the bags sound better.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
The flash drive. I mean,
Oh,
the flash drives are
that's
definitely
so
gonna.
much
They're a
better.
little catchy. They're
Well, the flash drives are going to appeal to certain.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to use a flash drive, right?
Well, Bob might.
I use it.
Well, the sustainability committee is recommending
You're gonna use
using.
that bag. I think
No,
the bag goes
I think
more.
the bags
Yeah.
are, I use those bags all
Oh,
the time
sure.
myself.
Yeah, the bags are good.
So you want to do the bags and the ad in the magazine?
And then 1,000 flash drives.
Do you want to hear
What magazine?
a member of the public speak before you vote?
What magazine are
Yeah,
you
you,
talking
that's
On
true.
what?
I think you need-
Is this the item you want to speak on?
about? Oh,
Yeah, why don't we, Jim, would you like to speak to this right now?
Thank you, President Fairman and members of the board. I can speak on both this and item 17 at the same time, with your permission. My comment about these is the staff report indicates the district's participation in these two Costa Mesa city events is part of your strategic goal 3.2, which is to strengthen ties with the cities that you serve. And I just want to make the obvious observation that some of the ratepayers you serve live in Newport Beach as well as Costa Mesa. I was thinking about ways to make this more inclusive, and your promotional materials are going to have our beautiful seal here. If you want to revise it, I don't know why, I think it's great. And I notice on it says incorporated 1944, and I'm sure you know that 2014 will also be the 70th anniversary of this district. And I would think putting that a little bit on the spin of your promotion, congratulations to Costa Mesa, and we're also celebrating our 70th anniversary, would make it seem a little more inclusive when people see the trucks going down and why you're celebrating.
Mhm.
That's my suggestion.
Great idea.
Is that both 16 and 17?
17? Or say,
What?
oh,
Yeah,
that was-
comment on 17,
Yeah.
Newport Beach, of course, has its own mayor's events, but
Yeah.
and it has its own anniversaries. We had a 100th anniversary in 2006.
Thank you, appreciate that.
How many residents do we have in Newport Beach? Do you happen to know?
No, it's not
That we
bad.
serve?
Well,
I'm
there's,
just thinking if we had that magazine and mailed it out to them also, they could, I don't know what the numbers are.
Well, if we could get the city of Newport to come to a liaison meeting, we might have that be one of the topics.
well,
to
but
talk
they
about.
must get the magazine, or do,
Is it just go, is
You don't get the
magazine
magazine?
just go to City of Costa Mesa residents?
Yeah.
Because we have some that live in
He doesn't
Newport.
get
Well, but the magazine's coming from the city's anniversary committee. It's not
Right.
coming.
Right,
I
but
mean-
they're just gonna send out to the residents of Costa Mesa.
We can talk to the committee and see if they have extra copies that we could make
But that's
available
not-
for us.
I don't know what
to
the
send
number
out.
is. What would
well,
you?
we have
I don't know.
116,000 residents, and how many people live in Costa Mesa?
Well, 55. They're estimating 55,000 households.
Yeah, but there's 110,000 in Costa Mesa, so there must be about 6,000 in Newport Beach. And,
I'm
you
sorry.
know,
Okay, that's what I was, I don't know.
5 or
what
6,000
that cost
probably.
might be, but if we're advertising our services in the magazine, just a thought, but if it's too expensive.
I'll see what it is in the extra, how many extras and things they have.
Okay, if
I
you
can
could,
find that
if you
out.
could.
Sure.
But if we could get a report just on everything financially, what it is, and that'd be a
Well,
help.
I think we have that. I mean, it sounds like you like the tote bags, and again, if you want to go, $2,500 is $3,600.
Mhm.
The full size ad in a magazine is another $2,500. If you do a banner, that's another $500, so it's $3,000. So you're looking at $7,500. If you want to do all that.
Where would we have the ad in the magazine? Would it be on the back page or?
I can't guarantee that. I have no idea.
What
We can
about-
certainly stress it.
Yeah.
I know we're on 16, but what about 17?
Well, if we get direction from number 16, then we can move on to number 17.
What color will those bags be? That color there, or
It's up
can
to
it
you.
be optional?
Yeah,
Because
this
the
is-
last
There's-
ones we had were green.
No, there's a whole bunch of colors
There's
on
Okay.
a lot of colors, but this is a great color when you think about
I'm
it.
just thinking tying it with our.
Well, I
color.
think you also ought to incorporate
Get Halloween.
Mosier's idea of the 70th.
Yeah, trick or treat.
Keep in mind
This
it's our
is like
70th,
dirt
and their 60th.
Right.
Environmental.
Which we'll talk about our strategic plan. It's in our for April 3rd. And that brings a
Oh.
good point. Do we want to do? Our 70th anniversary is coming up. Do we want to use that on our banner? Put that on the banner of the trucks. Our 70th anniversary, or
Well, that could be next year's banners.
I think that whatever banner we put on that truck, we need to say, sanitary district, help celebrates with the city, we need to mention us on there too.
Oh, yes.
Somehow, some way.
Yeah.
You wanna be
That's
sure
a
you
good
don't,
idea.
whatever you spend the money, you don't end up blending and add to the
Yeah,
confusion
yeah,
that
we
we're
don't-
just
we
part of
don't-
the city.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
You spend a lot of money trying to
Exactly.
establish the
Right,
identity.
we gotta be careful with that and, get some mileage out of
The
it.
Dean Lever, right?
Yeah.
Lawrence is here.
But again, it's just there. We have a fourth one. We have not
Right.
decided
I
what
mean,
to put on the
who
fourth
does
one.
that artwork? Did they do it?
They
or-
did it.
They did, I mean,
And there's even a great, there's even a great idea that, what Mr. Mosier said is celebrating the birthday here and then celebrating the district's anniversary here and have them both so that people get the connection. Oh, there's two entities here that are
Right.
been around a
That's a
while
good
and
point,
Yeah,
yeah.
give us a little.
What I'd
It's a
suggest.
year away, but
Yeah, what I'd suggest is if CRNR could contact Dan Joyce at the city. He's the city liaison for all this, and Lawrence, if you need help with that, just get a hold of me and I'll direct you over.
Okay.
okay. I mean, but Dan Joyce is not gonna talk about the sanitary district, he's gonna talk about the city, so we wanna make sure that you're.
Dan will talk.
included.
I'll make
Okay.
sure Dan talks about the sanitary district.
Sounds good.
Control
I-
down,
we can-
would you think?
Yeah, good luck. Kind of wrap this up. I think I would move that we appropriate a budget of $8,000 with the intent of the $2,500 for the full page ad, the bags, the street banner. What else?
Any leftover for the flash drives.
And any leftover
think we need to meet
potential flash.
The flash drives are going to serve the purpose of putting out our green thing
Yeah.
without putting out an 8-page brochure. They're going to have the sustainability event brochure. They'll have other things that advertise the sanitary district. I mean, what do we have them for now?
We have now for the grant paid for them, so we have now for giveaway. There's blank flash drives we give away. We have booths.
How many do we have left?
About 160.
Because what are we gonna use at the fish fry run? Because
Like-
that's gonna be before the.
Well, that's what we give out the flash drives. That's one. The funnels, all that stuff we do at the fish.
But I think we have-
bags ready for that event.
When we could try. We could try to have it back ready for
First
the
of
End of
May.
May.
You've got 2 months.
Yeah, we can get it done.
I'm sure.
I also want to make a correction on the flash drives. Actually, $6.71 a piece.
Pretty expensive.
Sorry about
Okay.
that. I was thinking of the $3 is a clip, gator clip that holds
Yeah,
250
that's
Okay.
pages, so.
The bags.
but you go buy them in the stores and what are they, $15 or something, aren't they?
Yeah, flash drives. Depending on how much gigabyte your memories you have. Yeah.
And maker of the motion, would you, as a matter, as part of your motion, include a finding that it would not only serve our strategic plan goal that the manager's listed, but that it would also serve the district purpose in promoting recycling and education about recycling?
That is part of my motion.
And I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
So just clear. So we'll appropriate that in solid waste fund.
Yeah, we need to bring that back next month, just since it's going to be a brand new appropriation.
But they're approving right now, so it's just.
Sure, if they want to appropriate that straight from retained earnings, then that would be great. If that could be included.
So moved.
Is that the best way to go?
It's the only way to go. It's the only way to go right now without, unless there's savings, we go through and rob a whole bunch of accounts to do that.
Yeah, we don't do that.
So that's why we make sure the money's there. We can start
Yeah.
spending it tomorrow if we need to.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 17.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, the mayor of Costa Mesa is having a special event to promote the arts in Costa Mesa. Let me get to my staff report here. Anyways, so anyway, what the mayor is seeking is sponsorship, and what I have in my staff report is recommends a $2,500 sponsorship, which is bronze. And how this would tie in to Costa Mesa as far as the field of solid waste is that a couple things. One, we right now, I don't know if you know, but we are participating in Museo Museum. You've heard of the museum? It's a new museum out in Anaheim.
Oh, Museo, yeah.
Yeah, they have a trash for art competition that we are a sponsor to that, and so the schools here in Costa Mesa and all Orange County are competing for trash art. So that does tie in to these arts, leadership of arts that the mayor is promoting. Also, the board has talked about maybe using the high school students at Instancia and Costa Mesa High School to maybe a competition to redo our logo. So again, I think that ties into the district's support of the arts. And so if you want to become a bronze sponsor, and we can use that to support being a sponsor of this program. So again, it's up to the board if you want to sponsor this program or not.
I have a question. Is this a fine arts scholarship or like a drama scholarship, or you know what I mean? There's a big difference on, because I read earlier as for the drama department possibility. What are you talking about? I mean, I don't, you know what I mean? Before we put any money into it, we should find out.
It's just benefiting the arts and educational programs. So I'm assuming it's all type of arts program. You know, dancing, music, all kinds of different types of arts.
How can we? I mean, when you talked about the Anaheim Museum, what did you have in mind? How would that tie in with this?
Tie in because the museum, they're using trash to create art.
I know, but I mean, are we going to ask the high schools to do that to win this amount of money, or is it just going to be selected by the city? It's
selected by the city. We're just a sponsorship, so the $2,500 goes to the city, and then it goes into that pot for to the high schools to support the programs.
What is his goal?
It says $10,000 in the report. 10,000. I'm sorry, 10,000
Yeah, I thought I read a
each
number.
for Mesa and Estancia.
Yeah, I thought I read a number somewhere.
As well as 15 for the education programs at PBS and Signature Center of the Arts.
So 15, 15, 10, and 10?
10, 10, 5. 5. 10, 10, 5, 5. That's what they're trying to raise.
And
30.
you get a table for $2,500. What's the deal? Are there any?
Yeah, you get a
publications that
you get a seating of 4 tickets, introduction of celebration, advertisement in the program, name listed with logo name on event sponsor signs placed throughout the celebration, acknowledgement on invitations, on-screen recognition, listed in media releases, and recognized as Costa Mesa Chamber of Commerce and South Coast Metro website.
So how do we figure out which 4 gets to go?
I will be on a cruise for my wedding anniversary.
Easy.
There you go.
I'd rather go to this.
Since this is being recorded, I refuse to answer.
Staying on the 5th. I think the 5th.
We'll miss you, Mikey.
That's 4 right there. I won't miss you.
Well,
And you'll want to make some findings too, that this would support our district purposes in some way. Recycling and
But
Well,
this
I think
is-
support of the arts ties back to what Scott had said, our current participation with Museo and some of the other, I
That
think
was
there's
my
a-
question, how does that tie into the high school, so? they're
Well,
not
it's just another
participating.
step towards us supporting educational arts programs, I think. I don't think there's any tie to Museo at all.
I mean, how do we tie it into
We
our
need to,
goals?
we need to do
We
it
have to
for
tie it into our
recycling, yeah,
goals,
we can't just promote the arts.
That was my,
Yeah.
my question.
In the
on it.
abstract, yeah.
How do we tie it in just for the high schools?
Yeah, I don't, that's a good question.
No, are they charging so much per table? Or is this
Well, it's
just
100
individual?
I think it's 125 per, I don't know, I haven't seen anything on the
Yeah.
table sponsorship.
Usually, they say a table of 8 for
I think you
so
get,
much.
you get seats for 4 for a bronze level. I think, is that what I read?
Yes, a seat for fourth, correct.
Oh, for
I just, I don't see how we tie it in personally. But I may be wrong.
Well, we're gonna have them, do a contest for our logo. Is there any crossover there?
Yeah, that, and you could do,
That's the art
you could do a
department.
promotional, I think you get some recognition. In the recognition or whatever it goes in the brochure about the district, you could put promoting recycling, or you could do something that justifies it, but we need to do something to tie it.
Yeah, I think that the idea with the logo and getting their help in that, I think is a pretty good tie.
I mean, that's a direct nexus, kinda, I mean.
But what's our timetable with the logo? Have we established?
No, I mean, we have, the logo, I mean, we're gonna talk about that in strategic planning. I mean, that was just a concept from the board. I mean, we really haven't directed staff to proceed with that. That was just something we were gonna talk
No,
about.
I hope not. Yeah, that's a lot of money. A
Well,
logo,
now, yeah, the school,
you know.
do a contest.
because when you think about it, you gotta change everything. The water district
Oh, I
just
know.
finished
No, no,
doing
I
it,
know.
and I hate to tell you their price.
Yeah, we wouldn't go to that extreme.
How much?
Well, you have to have stationery, you have to, you have
Yeah.
to go to the next.
Do you have an idea what it was?
5,000.
Yeah, something like
That's
that.
what I thought.
Yeah.
The logo might not change, even if we have a contest,
Yes.
and we don't like it.
I'm not guaranteeing we're gonna change.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying,
No, it'll be a huge expense if we choose to change the logo.
oh, yeah. But it has to
But-
be changed on everything.
Let's see. I would suggest we think in terms of changing the stationery and something, or adding something about our 70th year. Anyway, which is another change. Well, I'll make a motion that we be a bronze sponsor at the $2,500 level for the mayor's dinner to support art and leadership, and with tie-ins to our strategic plan and or the potential logo change
And recycling.
and recycling.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure we're still tying it into, with that motion, because we're just theorizing.
Yeah, the courts, you want to make sure you don't make a gift of public funds. The courts will give great deference to your findings, but you do have to have a finding. We're not free to spend our money on anything we want to. We have to have a purpose relating to our mission.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I have a problem with.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the concept, but I have a problem with us making a donation unless we have a program that ties in, because we're not going to be recognized as having a program tying into it.
Well, also, as far as the table too, 4, that's what we get.
We don't even know that for
We
sure.
don't
do
know?
we?
I had read that
before
it was for 4 people for a bronze level,
But
but
see, if us 4 can, and that lets Scott out, and I think as a CEO,
yeah,
he
he would
should
have to
be
be
there.
I would step, if
really
we did
feel he
that, I
should
would
be
step
there.
back
I
and
would
let him,
go,
and
yeah.
he could take my spot, but.
Well, no, I think it's important for us all to be there. I mean, it looks good.
Yeah,
Or
we
something
I know
like
where
Well,
that
we could
goes.
buy an extra $125 ticket.
We could buy it.
I mean, so we have 5 seats, or, we do the bronze. My motion is to do the bronze sponsorship And if we choose to do something else, we need 8 people there.
Okay, but with your motion, what kind of findings do you have? That makes it.
Would you repeat the
Well,
findings?
you-
Same findings as we did, with the same finding, almost the same findings as we did with the
It would be,
sponsorship of the city.
it'd have to be contingent on getting some advertising about promoting recycling. It would strengthen the city-district relationship, and then there'd have to be some process or some thing about a recycling or designing the logo or some artwork that ties into this program that we'd have to kick off with being a sponsor. We'd have to get some quid pro quo back from them about that.
That was my finding.
What's the, the motion's been made and seconded. Is
Yep.
there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, abstain? Motion carries. 18, notice of nominations for special district risk management.
Thank you, Mr. President. SDRMA is accepting nominations for the seat of the board, and the elections is coming up, and so recommended tonight is to recommend one of your board members for nomination, and we'll come back with a resolution to be approved and submit to SDRMA.
I move that we nominate Mike Schaefer,
I'll second.
She'll fix that for you.
the other Schaefer.
Second.
Okay, we got 2 seconds.
You do?
You were first. I seconded.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I thought you did.
Yeah. Speak
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, Mike, are you interested in this?
Absolutely.
Okay, sounds
Oh,
good.
we
Okay,
do.
I didn't know for sure.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President, point of order. Item number 13, we did skip, hoping that the resident would come by, but also she didn't. Do you want to still discuss this item, or do you want to postpone it and try to put it on the next meeting?
I would prefer to move it to the next meeting.
Yeah, I would
with the
too.
person.
Okay.
There was another part of the, wasn't there something you needed us to do though with SLAP? Or was that just the appeal?
That was just appeal. Well, in the staff report,
Thank you.
there are some bullet points on what staff is doing. There's, as you know,
Okay.
we are tweaking the program as we go along, and if there was any issues you didn't like what we're doing, then it'd be nice to hear that from the board. Otherwise, we'll proceed as we've been doing.
All right, then I would move we continue it to the April meeting.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Operations Committee.
Actually, Mr. President, there was a 13.2 you might want to address.
Whoop.
Direct staff to work the city of Newport Beach.
I moved number 2.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Jim, I would like to add a little discussion. A couple of my neighbors had sewer problems, and they had a plumber come out and they fixed them. And they called the city, and the city said, "Well, you're too wealthy. You're in a class where there's nothing we can do for you." And so there's some. It bears not only talking to the city of Newport Beach Building Department, but the myriad of departments in Costa Mesa where a resident might choose to call in. And Costa Mesa staff did not know enough, to say that's not our bailiwick. Go to the sanitary district. So I would remind. Maybe we can put that on our city district liaison meeting. Although,
Tie in with that, maybe a one-sheet bullet point thing that we send to them, they could pass out.
There's supposed to be,
Right.
one-stop shopping where people that go in to develop or
Right.
whatever, find out about all the other agencies they have to.
yeah, and then this resident was told, you don't qualify. So I said, well, you do qualify. So I said, well, who'd you call? And he said, well, called the city. And they didn't know enough to call the sanitary district.
Okay, good. I'll leave that.
When is that next meeting? Do you happen to know? Or we could have maybe a bullet sheet that you.
June,
That first weekend in June.
That's a good thought.
Okay, I have to, that's great, thank you.
And the same thing you can give to Newport Beach.
Yes.
Okay, Operations Committee.
Nothing really to report. We approved the minutes already. I did want to mention a good presentation about alternatives to the telephone book recycling program. I mean, that was a good discussion, I think. And also the 60th anniversary, we talked about that some. But other than that, it was pretty routine.
Okay.
I have a comment. I'm not quite sure Estancia would participate in that bottles and cans program. I talked to a couple people there that didn't think it would fly there because of the economic situation. Like, you know, people save those and turn them in for their own money. And I talked to a number of people there that thought that would be the case and they wouldn't be very successful.
Okay.
But they like the battery collection of the batteries, which I didn't see it listed on one of our programs. But I think if we could incorporate that, take the items out of the waste stream, that'd be really good. If we could.
You know, thank you for reminding, because it was Mike Carey who had brought up the point that
Right.
a lot of folks that do the recycling do it to put food on the table. And I certainly don't want to be a part of discouraging that or taking away from that. So I think Mike gave us a
That was a good heads up.
Yeah,
That's how I asked. That's why I asked the people at Estancia. But they thought the battery idea that everyone could participate in that. And I don't know how we could financially do that, but that'd be up to you, Javier, to come up with a plan.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mike. Engineers report, project status report.
Thank you, Mr. President and board members. You have the report. If there are any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions for Rob? Okay, let's move along. Receive and file. Proposed OCSD transfer of Fairview truck.
Thank you. I'll take that. We did prepare a condition assessment and engineer's estimate to rehabilitate the Fairview line, which OCSD would like to transfer to us as a condition of providing sewer service to the home ranch property. The condition assessment showed that there was calcium beginning to occur in the line and other areas of rehabilitation, of which the engineer's estimate concluded that the cost would be $374,000. The only other item besides that was the due diligence of ensuring that no other substantial problems, such as street problems, soil problems, would occur if we were to need to excavate the line. The engineer's estimate was prepared assuming we do need to install 2 manholes due to extreme length of 2 of the sections. Because we queried the City of Costa Mesa and Mesa Consolidated Water District regarding construction projects and received no written documentation of soil conditions or even contacts of inspectors and all, the general manager and myself discussed what could possibly be done to anticipate future problems should we need to excavate the line. And we discussed a possible soils test that would indeed provide us additional information regarding future construction, types of soil, water table, etc. So if you were to say, let's not worry about the potential conditions, we would recommend that you approach OCSD and say, we would accept transfer of that line along with either this monetary value or the improvements needed. But if you chose to go one step further, perhaps you would want to do a soils report by the district to see whether there are any extraneous conditions we're unaware of at this time. We do have a proposal for a soils report, which is just under $5,000, and the traffic control along with that would make the total of that soils investigation approximately $7,500. So staff recommends that you take that step due to the result of what we found when we did excavate in South Coast Drive on the previous transfer of sewers. Other than that, I believe everything else is in the report.
Well, I think we need an abundance of caution here, and I for one would be in favor of doing a soils report, because that whole area there, that soil and the water table is real high there. I mean, we got to be careful, because we could have some serious exposure there.
We did hear stories of a potentially perched water table, meaning that even though the water table is maybe 30, 40 feet below street surface, a perched water table means there's a layer of clay soil up high and it's got water trapped on top of it, so that maybe we go down 8, 10 feet and there's the water right there. So it might be very likely, and abundance of caution would dictate an investigation to see whether that is indeed the case.
Yeah. Any comments?
I agree. I agree with your proposal.
Yeah.
You need a soils test.
Well, I move that we ask Orange County Sand District for the total of the engineer's estimate for improvements, including the soil, including a soils test.
I'll second that.
Quick question. I think I would suggest is we do the soil test first, because if the soil test is finding that it's a wet condition, we might want to go and ask more money from OCSD.
Yeah.
So we want to do the soil test first.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Would
Just
you
make the
want
soil
to-
test.
Have they done a soils test over there, or do we know?
No.
Well, they built the sewers there, so they have old soils.
Well, that was back in the 60s. Would you like to inform OCSD, along with that potential motion of authorizing a soils test, would you like to inform OCSD of our progress, of what we found to date, and that we are doing a soils test, just so they understand where we are monetarily
Why don't
and
you rephrase it?
Well,
considering?
I think we need to be nice and say, you know, we're entertaining this, but we feel a prudent thing to do is a soils report.
Oh,
Right,
well,
but give
yeah.
them a progress update that this
Right.
is the number we've come to
Yeah,
so
and
far.
we'll
Yeah.
get back to you within a short period of time when we get the results.
Well, I'll make the motion that we go with the engine. We inform Orange County Sand District of the engineer's estimate of costs and notify them that we're doing a soils analysis to determine if there's any soils problems, and it's subject to the soils test results.
And I'll still second.
That describes it very accurately.
Who would do that? Would you do that, Rob, or?
We would hire a contractor
No, I
to
mean
do
to
that?
let them know what we're doing.
You know, I can send an email to Jim Hersberg and tell him here's the status, and then Rob can take a lead on the soils.
Okay.
And you could even make it tentatively approved, it's subject to the soils
Yeah.
report if you want to show more positive progress, but still leave yourself the escape hatch.
Yeah, no, I think he'd understand it. You know, here's what we preliminarily came up with, but we want to do a soils test based on our experience in South Coast Drive. He'll understand.
Yeah. How long does that soils test take?
How long does it take, Rob?
3 weeks?
Maybe at next board meeting we'll have results.
Well, we'll come back with the operations committee with it first, or you want me to do
3
that?
weeks. Will that follow?
If you can get it.
Is Pat the one in charge of that over there?
Yeah, it might
It-
come on the May meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Or
March meeting.
May meeting. We're in
Or
March,
Well,
yeah.
April meeting.
At this point, Ann Crafton is being the go-to person, but she is in contact with all the engineering folks over there, from Jim Herberg on down.
Okay. So you have a,
Yes, yeah.
well, we did make a motion.
Didn't take a vote.
And Arlene seconded.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I'd like to read the motion. Are we voting on the motion?
Yes.
Can we read that motion back? Is that possible?
Sure. Director Uten has moved to inform OCSD of the engineer's estimate of costs and soil analysis to be conducted, and the findings subject to the soils report. Is that correct?
More or less.
Well,
More or less.
yeah. I mean, we need to say something to the effect that we're seriously considering, you know, accepting your thing, you know, with
Exactly.
the caveat that contingent upon the soils report.
How about tentatively approve it subject to this,
Yeah,
that's what I
soils
like.
report?
I like that.
Well,
Would that be our last step, Rob, before
Yes.
acceptance?
Yes.
include both the engineer's estimate and the engineer's estimate of the soils report. So it's actually 340-some thousand plus the 7,500. You know, and that'll be the number that'll go to Orange County Sand District, but it'll be subject to the results
Yeah,
of the
and
soils
if the soils
report.
report comes back and it's full of holes, we're gonna have to either up the amount they give us or forget it.
Just drill a very big soil thing and fill it with gravel, and then the perched water will go down the next level.
I think we got it.
Okay.
Really?
Forget that last
Okay,
comment.
any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer's report,
Nothing to report this evening, Mr. President.
attorney's report.
Thanks, Mr. President. Staff is bringing to you a request that we, as a matter of policy, delete attorney's fees provisions from our contracts and most of our construction-related professional agreements. Normally, we wouldn't bring contract amendments to you for approval, but this is kind of a significant policy decision. The law provides that you can get attorney's fees in a contract if you put a prevailing party provision in your contract. It's been my experience that these always work against a public agency like ours, and just coincidentally, after I put this on the agenda, the city attorney listserv has just been lit up with everybody's deleting attorney's fees provisions from their contracts. And the reason is, the two things I mentioned in my memo is, it makes them think before they sue us whether they can recover enough without an attorney's fee provision that will justify the attorney's fees, so it gives them a second thought about whether they sue us. And then secondly, everything settles nowadays. I mean, there's only 2 or 3% of the cases that go to trial, and when you're in the with the settlement judge, part of what you settle is each side says, what have you run up in attorney's fees, and then they multiply that times what are your chances of prevailing. It always works against us when you have a cheaper lawyer than the other guy. The other guy's always going to say, well, I bill at $450 an hour. And he says, I've run up a $400,000 bill in this lawsuit.
Are you suggesting that you're cheap?
Yeah. It's not a good professional word, but yeah, unfortunately I am.
We still love you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Not cheaper reason.
After watching 6 recent episodes of LA Law, I move the deletion of the attorney's fees provisions in the standard Costa Mesa Sanitary District agreements.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Local meetings. OCSD was last night, and last night was the last night for Jim Ruth. Yeah, Jim Herberg is now the general manager, and you know, they had a bunch of Jim Ruth was presented, you know, a bunch of plaques and so forth. And,
Jim, I got a note that his party has been delayed.
Why?
No.
Well, they were going to have it right before
Yeah.
the hearing to raise the deal.
Oh, okay.
And there was a couple hundred people there.
Okay.
So they thought it might not go. It might go over like a lead balloon, spending a couple of grand on a party.
Okay, okay, I get it.
So they canceled it.
I
So
knew
we're
they
gonna
did.
probably have pizza at my house. After that.
Well, that'll cost the same.
Yeah, that'll be
Yeah, you know, my pizza's
Hold
pretty
out for
good.
Oso Buco.
And those bags with the 6 pockets?
At any rate, but Jim, they did do a little contract, short-term contract with him, you know, for transition purposes. And, you know, so he'll be around a little bit, but that was good. We also did pass the increase, 4.8% first year, 2.4% the final 4 years. We probably heard 35 people, you know, speak again. And there's probably 7 for it, you know, for various reasons. At any rate, that was.
Just curious, the vote, your
It
board
was
vote?
18 to 7,
That was
and that's about as close as you can get, because it had to be a super majority.
Wow.
Jim Herberg, and most of you, I think, I know you have, and most of you know him, but he's going to be just a fantastic general manager. And you know, I hate to see Jim Ruth go because he is the best. I mean, he's legendary, and but it's you know he's 73 or whatever he is, but Herberg will do a real good job. Don't you agree?
I hired and mentored him.
Maybe that's why.
He's a very, very
In
excellent.
spite of that, he's done this well.
Actually, you know, I think of him as a young engineer. He's been with the district almost 29 years.
43 or 4?
He came in 1983, I believe, so he's been with the district almost 30 years.
He ran track at Kansas,
So,
I know that.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, that's
Yeah.
right.
So if he was 23 plus 30, he's only 53.
Oh, I don't think he's that old.
Well, maybe yeah, probably younger, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Because he worked for the water district before, didn't he?
He went over and worked for Mike Marcus for 5 or 6 years, and then we brought him back.
At any rate, that you know, I'm on OCOG for the Orange County Sand District. I'm their representative on that, and somehow I got appointed to this is a good one, the San Diego Border Committee, which we negotiate with the Indian tribes and Mexico on border issues.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know how I got, you know.
You got an in with the Indian.
Were you
Maybe
napping?
familiarity
Were you
with
napping
the-
during that? Napping?
They came by and slapped me on the back of
You're
the
it,
head
Jim.
and said, "You're it."
They slapped you on your back and said, "Congratulations, Jim."
Hopefully you get to
Said,
trips
"How
of
I
some,
know,
some
yeah.
casinos, some Indian casinos
Yeah,
or something.
it's
That's the
once a
deal.
month down in San Diego, so,
Wow.
anyway.
Who's
That's-
all on that? I mean,
The
is
guy
it,
that I'm
is it-
replacing was the mayor of San Clemente,
okay,
Joe Anderson?
Palmer.
Oh, Palmer.
Palmer, yeah.
Wait,
Uh,
wait.
so
If you
that
want
was
to
it
see,
for Orange County
if
Sand.
you want to see a bureaucracy, wait till you see that. Of course, you've been on SARFA with the Corps.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Santa Ana River Flood Control,
Okay, well, I didn't attend the meeting today, Jim did, but we had a special meeting yesterday because John Collins from Fountain Valley has been pursuing us for 10 years about the Westminster watershed study. When is that going to be funded? When is that going to be funded? So they finally got the Corps of Engineers to come down and discuss it with the board. And they brought some people from the LA office in the Orange County Flood Control District and then our membership. And then they tried to explain to us where they're at and what direction they're going to go, which is the first time that we've had any communication with them. But one of the first things he told us was FEMA is considering increasing the insurance fees from hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And the person from the LA office said that he heard that on the radio just a few days ago. So
They haven't told us.
you know, so I just thought I'd throw that out to the Fountain Valley residents that could possibly be happening. There's 75 square miles that are in that Westminster watershed study, and it's based on the elevation of your property. And I asked them the question, are they considering moving Costa Mesa back in that floodplain?
parts of Costa
Costa,
Mesa,
you know,
Yes.
but
Yes.
where I live, we're off the
Very few,
off the
very
feed.
few parts of Costa
Right.
Mesa are
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
in the flood area.
I
Down
thought Alan
along
might be
the
interested in
floodplain.
that.
The north side
Yeah,
of the freeway.
I hadn't heard that.
I mean, he says he hasn't heard that officially, but he heard it
You
on
know,
there.
you know what the residents of Fountain Valley pay a year for their flood control?
I do. Oh, you mean for their flood insurance? Yeah, I do.
No, collectively.
Oh, no. collectively?
9 million.
Oh, jeez.
What?
9 million. Garden Grove's 3.9 million.
Hmm.
Westminster's like 5 or 6 million. And it's like money right down a rat hole.
They're still paying for Katrina.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
they're trying to get more
that's
money
part
for
of it.
Katrina.
Yeah.
It's funny with, and most people associate the Santa Ana River with that flood insurance. You know,
Mhm.
it's not just the Santa Ana River.
No,
It's
that's what we're talking about
It's
here,
every
that-
little
that Westminster
flood
watershed.
control, that whole,
I mean, it
yeah,
runs
it,
right-
it really fingers out.
Channels.
There'd be people in areas you wouldn't believe
Yeah.
that have that flood insurance.
Yeah, and in some neighborhoods, houses are higher, you know, like a couple feet higher than the other ones.
Yeah.
And they'll be excluded
Right.
because of the height, you know.
And you can get certificates, you can get the surveyor out there to
Mhm.
check your,
Yeah.
Called
and
an
get a
ele-
certificate.
It's called
set
an
up.
elevation
Right,
certificate.
right, exactly, they talked about that.
Did they tell you how much those cost?
No.
A lot.
But,
You'd rather pay the
schedule-
insurance.
The schedule with the Corps is this. By February 2014, they're gonna have their, plan to go out for comment. And the county of Orange is waiting to spend, because the county gets credit for projects that they do, but they wanna make sure that the plan is approved for the projects. So they're not gonna spend any more money on the projects on the watershed until they see the plan and make sure they get the credit, so they don't have to spend as much money later. And let's see. But when the county does get involved, they're gonna have to raise it's called a 3-to-1 ratio, 3 times the amount of money that they're gonna need before the Corps will accept any projects. Which, but they have, the county is, I think is, well, the Corps has 800,000 right now to do the project, and they have to have additional, like 572,000 from the federal government. So that's all based on the Obama budget that's coming out next month. So they're not sure what direction they're gonna go, but they're tied by that, and there's a lot of regulations that go along with that. And then Herb Nakasone, who's our director, he's gonna be writing up a one-page talking points for the people that go to Sacramento, or to Washington to talk to the different lawmakers, so that they have an exact idea, and we're not in conflict with other agencies going back there and talking about this. I don't know if he gave a report on that today, Jim, or not, but that's what happened yesterday. We met for like an hour. We listened and mostly listened.
This, the lead guy for the Army Corps of Engineers, his name is Colonel Toy, T-O-Y. He grew up here in Huntington Beach, and he's really wants to.
He wants to help.
See
He's got
the
a
guy
real,
that spoke at
Yes,
Waco
he
that
was.
morning, that
Yeah.
same guy?
yeah.
He's
Same guy.
moving from this office back to the general headquarters in Washington, which is gonna be a plus. So
He'll
be
still
pushing
listen to us.
some pretty sharp guy.
Yeah, he's really sharp guy. And they had met with Lowenthal from Long Beach, Alan Lowenthal, day before, and he wants to partner with us in our contingency, or the people we go back to D.C. to lobby, and because they've got issues up there too. So collectively, if we get and what's his name, Royce.
Royce, and
Yeah,
there's a couple other
the mayor of Yorba Linda was at the meeting today and said he's going to get Royce on board. So
Yeah, that'll be good.
the new SARI line should be operational by October of 2014. There's been a couple setbacks, but I could pass this around. They always have the most interesting deals here on it, but give you an idea of how far along they are.
Anything you can share about that litigation?
No, that didn't come up. Let's see what else.
You heard about the Kern County lawsuit?
Yeah.
About the election
Read
bond
about
position.
it. You
Oh,
said.
yeah, I've got that down here. Kathy Green was elected chairman. You know, Jim Warner's been the chairman of that committee for probably 25 years. And he didn't get reappointed this time from Morlock. And I don't know why, but so at any rate, we had to elect Kathy was the vice chair, so we elected her as the chair.
Well, that's great.
And
Should we
John,
say
I nominated John Collins as vice chair, and but real elections will be in June, so it's only for a few months.
Oh.
Who did they appoint to replace Jan?
Kathy Green.
Dennis Bilodeau. You know Dennis
Oh, I know.
Orange?
What's he at the meeting
He's
today?
chief of staff for our favorite person, the supervisor.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Spitzer?
No.
No.
Campbell?
Nelson?
Nelson.
Campbell?
Oh, Nelson.
Sean Nelson.
Yeah, he's a piece of work.
He's a civil engineer, you know. Gotta have a little respect.
Anyway, yeah, and he wasn't there today either for the meeting. That was, it's coming along. That was it for Sanitary River Flood. It is Doc.
I did not attend the executive committee meeting this month. I was in another state.
Where are we? CSDA.
I actually participated in two conference calls last Friday for the committees I sit on, the membership and education committee. The membership committee, most of the meeting dealt with membership of special districts in CSDA, and there's a lot of effort being put forward for committee members going out to districts that aren't members. Oddly enough, there are, I think, maybe one or two special districts in Orange County that aren't members of CSDA, and so there really isn't much of a recruitment effort on our part. We also had a call with the education committee, and most of that call was discussing the upcoming conference in September and discussion on future sites for conventions, and kind of a strange discussion. I mean, they're looking at sites and places where you know, they offer a room rate, and a lot of the committee members are saying, well, that's the best room rate, so let's take that. For example, we're looking at a proposal between Anaheim and Garden Grove, and Anaheim can offer a pretty good room rate as opposed to Garden Grove, and I made the point, well, wait a minute. I mean, the transit occupancy tax in Anaheim is 28.4%, and in Garden Grove it's like,
Wow.
13.
it's like 12 or 13.
28%? Oh my gosh.
It's up there.
I'm not sure that's exactly the right number, but it's way up there. Plus, every resort you stay at charges a resort fee, whereas the one in Garden, and everybody kept saying, well, we don't want to go to Garden Grove. And I said, you're talking about one block away from Anaheim. So it wasn't left anything. They're going to bring back proposals at our meeting in June to finalize that. So that was basically it.
Okay. Casa? We don't belong to that any longer, but anybody attend any meetings?
No.
Other meetings qualifying for reimbursement under CMSD ordinance number 55. Anybody attend a meeting?
Yeah. I have one meeting that I was sworn in and went to. And then also I had a question. I've got here the ordinance number 96, and it says, you know, the 29 meetings that you can go to or events or something. But what I was curious, like some of us went to this Mesa Water for the local water liability, and why wouldn't that count? I mean, it doesn't matter now because I've changed to another meeting, but I mean, I got rejected on it. And to me, that's an event that dealt with the district.
Well, Mesa Water's in that list.
I know, but
And your
your
list may.
CEO wouldn't let me have it.
Oh, your list may be all. Arlene, if there've been several meetings added recently in
This is a new one.
board meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you may
Well,
have the
I
current one.
have
I'm just saying, make
Well,
sure.
the board can approve it. I think it was, because when the Mesa, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Mesa's water meetings was specific for Mesa Water meetings, board meetings. And, you know, if the board can approve going to that special meeting, that's fine. But we're just trying to read down what it says on the code.
Well, did you others who went to it, did you put it down?
I don't think I did, but
okay.
it's because I probably had enough.
I
Anyway, I
didn't.
was just curious because
I didn't attend, but I think we were invited as representatives
Yeah.
of
That's
the
right.
sanitary district.
Right.
Right.
If I was invited as a citizen, I obviously wouldn't do it. I mean, I don't, when I go to the 60th anniversary committees, that's at City Hall, it's part of the city, but I don't put that down because I'm not there representing the sanitary
Yeah.
district. I think the fact that they invited all of us as representatives of the sanitary district,
I totally agree.
I think we should be eligible under that one.
I'll make a motion that we
Well,
approve.
it doesn't matter because,
No, yeah.
you
No,
know,
I think it does matter. I think it needs to be, I think it needs to
Well,
be
in the
included.
future, you
yeah,
know, we
that's
need
what I
to
mean,
Well,
in
direction
the
with-
future.
yeah.
The only thing I'm saying in the future, if we get invited to something and I happen to put it down, would I be rejected?
That's what I'm
Mr.
saying.
President,
we're-
yeah, I think what you wanna do is pull out your ordinance that you just adopted
I have it.
and try and see how it fits the criteria.
I
And then you
have
can
it.
vote on it and approve it, but you adopted criteria and you should try and make the criteria work.
Yeah, well, it says Mesa
I don't have
Water
it, cause it's
District.
brand new.
She has it right
I
there.
have
It doesn't say
I have
Mesa
it
Water
right here.
Board meetings, it says Mesa Water District. The one I always tend to go to, 28 and 29, where it says any other meetings directly involve the district, I think as an invited guest, as a representative, it involves the district, to my way of thinking.
Then that would be the way to portray it and then vote on it and approve it that way.
Yeah, okay, just for
well,
my knowledge.
Does
I
that
just wanted-
require a motion here, or it's
No.
not on the?
I
No.
think it falls within.
But you
No.
didn't go, right? I mean,
I did
She
go.
did go.
you did go.
She did go.
So
But I didn't count it on my next expense sheet.
you could probably amend it, couldn't you?
It's
No,
for her
I'm
March
fine.
expenses, and
Yeah.
since that wasn't being adopted yet, I just was.
Oh, it wasn't in effect yet?
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, I got something else in its place. I just wanted to know for future, because I don't wanna make the mistake of, you know, putting it down when I shouldn't. And,
That's a good point.
I think we tried to create, most of the categories where they were self-executing, but then we
Yeah.
gave you a catch-all at the end,
Oh,
in
yeah.
case you wanted to ask the
Yeah.
board for, will you make an exception for this one
Right.
because it fit?
Right.
So that would have been the right thing to do.
yeah, well,
I
I
mean,
didn't know.
we have paid some reimbursements over the past couple of years on directors going on tours of facilities that have no relationship to us. So this one more directly involves us
By
than some of
far,
those other
yeah.
things that were done, so.
Okay, so that's my one.
So
meeting.
do we need to,
I think we have it covered under 28 and 29.
Yeah, I think
we
you have,
got it covered.
you have in place what you need to have in place.
okay.
Thank you.
Old business.
Just have a question, the conference is coming up next month in Newport.
Conference?
Yes. Did we get any literature on that of what's happening each day?
Yes.
Oh, I have it. I believe that I had sent the board
Yeah,
an email
you
with
did.
the agenda for the
I
actual
haven't gotten an
conference.
email for a long time, but
It probably went to your district email,
I
so
have,
Oh,
I can't get on the district email.
we'll go ahead and provide that to you, sir.
Okay.
yeah, I have it.
well, do we have a list of people that are going to the CASA conference, and when
I
is
do
it?
not as of yet.
Because I don't know what's happening. I don't want to go all the time, but I want to, there's something specific that would relate to
just-
what we're doing.
Yeah,
If
when
you
is
could
it? I
maybe
have
mail
it.
it to me or something. Okay.
I just wanted to go to one day, the first day, the 24th, because after that,
Yeah, I just want to see
we have.
what's.
Oh, we
some-
won't
out
get
there.
we won't get literature on that in the future
He said we're gonna.
because we
go-
dropped out of
CSDA.
CASA.
Yeah, I
Those
got
are
it
CSDAs
from,
now.
I think we'll still get
Mesa.
literature.
Yeah.
yeah,
I get emails from, I'm still getting emails from.
yeah, it's the longest
From
time.
CASA.
I don't get any. Really? You're not, Leilani's sent me a number of things I haven't received.
It could be due to our email issue.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Nothing
Okay,
personal.
the new business,
When is the conference? I'm sorry,
Like the 24th, 25th, and 26th, I
Yeah,
believe.
it is.
of what?
Right.
In Newport Beach at the Marriott.
Newport Marriott.
But I don't want to sign up unless it's going to be relative to what we're doing.
Or is there any way that I could just go one day?
okay, we can take care of this
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
New business. No new business. Rural communications and director comments. Anybody have anything for the good of the cause?
Good meeting.
I just wanted to say that at the, Tuesday meeting, it's Tuesday, oh, it's the.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Is it Wednesday? Yeah, it's Wednesday, okay. The Wednesday meeting,
Yeah,
I might
Megan
be just a little late, but I'll read it.
Okay.
Okay.
Those are important.
Yes, I have the
We're gonna adjourn to closed session right now.
Discuss, one potential case, Weisenberger versus Costa Mesa Sanitary District, anticipated litigation.